Welcome to Sonographers in the Cities, where we connect through sound with your hosts, Lynn and Geselle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sonographers in the Cities. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Geselle.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much. Yes, we are excited for another episode and to chat together with an interesting topic. We appreciate all of you guys who follow us, subscribe to the channel, who follow the podcast. And we just also wanted to shout out to those of you who may be new.
Yes. Thank you so much for following us on Instagram. And those of you who've liked our Facebook pages, we do see you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you like what we have so far, and we can't wait to share with you what we have in the future.
Yes, I was just looking at all the numbers. It was crazy because our page has grown so much.
Yes.
We have had a couple hundred followers recently. And then also on the Facebook page, which I know we don't post as much on there, but I'm hoping to start soon, like even more. I know Lynn and I are very busy people, as all of you are. So we definitely appreciate everything and we really try our best to get these out to you. Today, we're going to talk about what we wish we knew before becoming a sonographer. So, it's a quite
Yes.
interesting topic because
It is.
you can only know what you know now.
Yes, and what you don't know, right? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. And there's still so much that I don't know. I mean, if you tune into our last episode, we spoke with Jeff, who is an ophthalmology sonographer. So that's quite interesting. And I learned a lot. And you guys will see on that episode, if you haven't watched it yet, how much Lynn and I were so like in awe.
Well, like
Just staring at him while he's
staring
talking.
with our mouths open, like, okay, continue.
Yeah, because it's so crazy. All these things
So
that you
fascinating.
And it's something that's part of the field where you're always going to be learning. You're always going to be seeing something new, something that you've never seen before. I mean, think about all the textbooks you guys are reading in school. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to see all those things in those textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lynn,
Yes.
what is something or what are the things that you wish you knew before becoming a sonographer?
Let's see. Well, when I considered sonography, some of you know my story. I didn't do that much research. I just, jump in. And then I started to love it as I go. And doing this podcast and obviously meeting Giselle, joining the Instagram community made me love it even more. And like I said before, you don't know what you don't know. So obviously I don't know a lot about sonography. What I did know, came from interacting with people or sonographers who have been in the field for a long time, like you, Giselle, or other guests that we had on the podcast, or my teachers. They would give advices and tell fascinating stories. I think this is the only one that I have as of now. One of the things I wish I knew before starting my program, or in general about sonographers or ultrasound, is that sonographers really need to know their stuff, like to a T, like to know what they're seeing, to be able to do their job successfully, right? And then saying that, I remember one of the stories I did way back when I started my Instagram page. And I was like, oh, tomorrow is my first day of lab, and I'm scared that I don't know what I'm looking at because everything is gray and black, and I was like, will I ever know what I'm looking at? And which is now looking back, I'm like, what am I talking about? I was like, of course you know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And that really is like amazing to me and fascinating that, the anatomy that we learn, the pathologies that we learn, like we really need to know the human body inside and out. And with our specialties, like we really need to know that specialties inside and out in order to find the abnormal in every patient. And we really need to know. And like why, like I've said before, our mind's like an encyclopedia. That's something I wish I'd known before, because then I don't know. I would be a little bit intimidating, but it's also would prepare me a little bit more, like have a more stronger mindset and higher expectations of myself to learn more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think, well, one of my questions in my head while you were saying that was, do you think knowing that, because you kind of answered it, like, do you think knowing
Yeah,
that, would you have done it all over again, knowing that prior to going?
definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely. I think knowing that I would have done it all over again, but with even more determination.
yeah,
And um what I wouldn't say like determination learn to learn the most that I can, you know, like these programs, I feel like the programs that I attended prepare me to learn the basics. But if I were to know that you're supposed to know everything, all the pathologies, I would push, my teachers, my preceptors. It's like, I want to see this pathology. I want to see what you do. I want to see what you do in this case. I want to see all of this. I would push to be able to expose to those abnormality in order for me to be more prepared, if that makes sense.
hmm, yeah. No, that's good to explain. Um, I find that topic a little bit, I don't know what the word would be, because we say we need to know everything.
Yeah,
And then when people ask, they're like, do you need to know everything? And I'm like, well, you don't need to know everything, but like, you
you
should know
do.
everything, but you
Yes, you
do.
should.
Like,
But you can't know everything
yeah,
either, because you only know it if it comes, you know, if it happens in your life, if you have that patient, if you have seen that pathology.
right,
Otherwise, you don't.
right.
So it's kind of like, I don't know.
But here's the thing, like you should know it, even if it
Yes.
doesn't come across to you on the daily. But
Mm-hmm.
what makes you know it more is it comes because you see it and you scan it on that patient. You read about
Right.
it maybe at one point, or even you did, but you don't remember it, but you were taught it.
Mm-hmm.
Or there are some programs out there that are not accredited that don't teach that to that caliber to where you need to know everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it is a thing that we do need to know, and it will make you a better sonographer if you know what you're looking at. And then I think about how when I was also a student, I was
Mhm.
afraid of not being able to know what I'm looking at. But then now looking at me now, I'm very confident in what I can say about my images and what is happening with the patient and what it could be, what it can't be. And that goes to shows that we need to know what we're doing as a sonographer.
Right.
Yeah, so really interesting, and that's a good
Yeah.
perspective.
What about you? After how, like 7 years of working and going through your program, what would you wish you'd known before was it you transferred from nursing to ultrasound, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I was a nursing student at first, but after going into ultrasound, I just knew that, okay, hey, my friend is doing this. She loves it. She told me to check it out. So I'm like, okay, I'll go check it out too. I also didn't do any research. But what I wish,
Despite what we tell you.
yeah. So you guys are like one up from us because you are doing your
Seriously.
research, and we didn't do that. But I mean, if we got here and we got through it, like you guys can too. But what I wish I had known, I wish I had known that it was so demanding as far as the job, because people don't really know that it's so demanding in different aspects. If you don't have confidence, like it'll make this job a little bit harder. And I feel like if you don't put your foot forward to ask questions and to put your brain first, because like Lynn said, you know a lot of things. You're very much an asset to this patient that you're scanning right now. I wish I knew that it was a lot of pressure, because at that time, like, I don't know if I would have. I just thought, oh, it's just ultrasound, like, not as crazy as nursing, which, yeah, it's not as crazy as nursing, but you still have to know a lot, like Lynn said. They order a lot of ultrasounds and it's very, very busy. I wish I knew that they kind of just throw you into the wolves, kind of, when you go to clinicals or when you work your job. And I don't know if that's something that's been going on for a very long time or if that's like a recent thing, because sometimes you don't get the adequate training, or you'll hear all the stories where, oh, they didn't teach this person XYZ. So it's kind of a field where you really have to take the initiative yourself. Just like how you said you wish you would have, like, if you had known, you would have been like, okay, well, can I see this? Can I do that? Can I do that? You would have put more effort into learning. And I'm probably in the same boat too, because I would just be like, as a student, like, okay, kind of
You just go
quiet.
with the flow with whatever you're told, right?
Yeah. And if I had known that seeing more and scanning more would have helped me be better, I wouldn't have learned that so much later in my career. So,
Mhm.
even though it's demanding, like that's how you learn. You scan as much as you can and you try to see everything that you can. But I also came from a non-accredited program. So I'm not saying it was a bad program, but it was a program where I did have to take initiative and, push myself to ask those questions. And I wish I had known that prior to, because then I probably would have, even the same as you, worked harder and
Mhm.
tried to learn more. I got really lucky though with my clinical site. So I learned a lot in my clinical site. But
Same.
you really do learn from your clinicals. You are truly not going to know everything. And I think that's part of what we wish we knew, because I see a lot of current new grads asking me the same questions in the last couple of weeks. Did you feel this way? Or did you feel like you were going to make a mistake? Or did you feel like you didn't know what you were looking at? And yeah, that is a very common thing. We're
You
here
didn't
to,
feel you didn't feel you know what you're looking at. I'm like, that's me
yeah,
every day. I'm like, huh?
yeah, that's like us, and that's a
Yeah.
normal thing in this field.
Mhm.
Definitely know that we are feeling the same way. I think everyone that becomes a sonographer feels the same things. And we wish we knew these things, but also that's how you become better and you learn, you ask the questions. I also wish I knew that there was like on call shifts and like, because that was the first thing
Really?
I started doing. And being on call as a new grad and not knowing everything, and you're like by yourself, that was
Mhm.
crazy. But again, that's how you learn. Can't, there's nobody there to ask. You can't really ask somebody because you're by yourself, like what I'm looking at. So it all depends on me and what I know.
Right.
Crazy.
I
But
just
it,
remember another thing I wish I knew when you
mm,
just said that. Another thing I wish I knew is that this comes from me teaching, because a lot of my students ask, certain professors say it's like this, and in certain clinicals, like they do it like this. And one of the things I wish I known before I started the program is that you really need to have an open mind and the flexibility, basically be a sponge to everything that you're learning and everything that you're seeing from labs, your programs to clinical sites, to different clinical sites, and then to your workplaces, because every single place does it differently. Every protocol is different, every facility is different, every doctor who's reading your studies are different. So you have to adjust to literally every single thing, how the facility is being run, how reporting is, how this doctor wants it written, how this doctor thinks, how the other doctor thinks, and you do it adjusting to those things. You can't just have like it's not a black and white, protocol for every facility in the United States, you know?
Yeah,
I
no,
think I wish I'd known that, because every time I'm like, oh, I was taught like this, but then no, we do it like this. And then I moved to another workplace, like, oh no, we do it like this. And I was like, WTF, you know?
yeah, no, it's frustrating, right? When someone tells you
Yeah.
something and then somebody else tells you something,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to go back to where you're at, what you're taught at each place, and
Mm-hmm.
then you become a full-fledged sonographer on your own and make your own decisions, but it all depends on where you work. Just like
Right.
we talked about the pay, it all depends on where you work. Everything truly depends on where you work. The protocols, the way you do an exam, the way you get the patient, the way you document the patient. It's all similar but different at the same time. So that's a good thing to share because we don't even think about those things before going into the program because you're just thinking, I want to become a sonographer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think about what the job actually entails. You do have to adapt to different environments, different patients, different people you're going to work with. I actually
Right.
had a question on one of our posts that asked, have you ever dealt with, you know, not really drama in the workplace, but have you ever worked with other coworkers who just kind of didn't have good attitudes or were like bad apples, basically?
Mm-hmm.
The question was, and my response to them was, yeah, these kinds of things happen. I mean, it's not even just your coworkers, it could be nurses, doctors, supervisors. You're in a field that's very intense, and also there can be bad work environments. That's something that I have noticed that can be part of the community, which is like toxic
Mm-hmm.
relationships as far as like, your coworkers and doctors. I've seen doctors yell at people, but that is part of this field. So I wish I had known that too, but I think it's part of any field and any job, any career. You have
Mm-hmm.
that situation that could be possible. So I know it's in one of our future episodes that we want to talk about, but it is something that you deal with, and you have to learn how to deal with that and kind of just stay in your lane. That goes with the adaptability. You have to be able to adapt in that situation and figure out how to get through those specific situations. Just know that when you work in the medical field, it's it's very tough. But even with all of these things that we wish we knew, it's a great career. You just have to learn how to get through every situation that you're going to go through because you
Right.
are going to go through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you will also learn all of these things. I actually recently just talked to somebody too who wishes that they went to a KHAP accredited school
Mm-hmm.
instead of a non-accredited school. Um, and that can be also talked in another future episode, which we have previous episodes about that, but we'll do an updated one. And these are all things you're just going to learn as you become a sonographer and you go through your programs.
Right.
Um, but these are just things that we wish we knew. And we hope that you guys comment down below what you wish you knew before you became a sonographer or a sonography student. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say and what you guys think about this career.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely an eye-opening experience, going through the program and then working as a sonographer in real life and seeing how everywhere is different. Yet, we're all going through the same motions. What your
Yeah.
Discord slogan, right?
Yeah, same life, different
Um,
frequencies.
exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah,
So,
we definitely enjoy talking about ultrasound. And if you guys are
yes.
new here, we're all about just sharing our experiences, spreading ultrasound awareness, being a part of your day. I really enjoy talking about ultrasound with Lynn and talking,
Likewise.
yeah, talking to other people because you guys understand
Hmm.
what we're going through and what we're talking about.
Right.
And we
Hmm.
also want to share this with future students and future sonographers because if we could help one person out there, then we know we're doing something good. And yeah, we're just so thankful for you guys and
Yeah.
appreciate you guys being here. If you have more topics you want to talk about, let us know and we can get an episode for you.
Yes. And before we go, I just want to do a quick shout out to thank you to ESP for giving us a shout out. That was a pleasant surprise earlier this week. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen the post, it is
Ye-
on ESP's Ultrasound's Instagram post.
Yes,
Also
go
on
check it out.
Facebook.
Yes, go check it out. We're just so excited to be part of that because we're big
Yes.
proponents of education, and
Hmm.
ESP is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, known company that basically helps you guys become sonographers.
Hmm.
So it's honestly, truly such an honor to be featured by them because
Yes.
everybody has to go through ESP
Yeah.
to
You
become,
did too, right? You used
yeah,
I did too.
yeah, it's
Like
like
everyone.
I feel like everybody does their
Yes.
seminars, their webinars.
Hmm.
I miss their,
CMEs.
yeah, I miss their in-person ones, but it's definitely something you guys should check out if you are needing some help to become a
Hmm.
sonographer, to become registered. Go follow them because they are awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll
Yes,
talk to you
thank
guys
you.
on the next episode.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great week and happy February.
Yay!
Bye.
Hey, SITC fam. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on any podcast platform. Leave us a review wherever you can. And don't forget to subscribe to Lynn and Geselle on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and find us on Facebook at Sonographers in the Cities.